You know, when I first embarked on this whole 16 movies a month thing, I thought, wow, this is going to be great. I love watching movies. It's going to be so easy. But now I'm kind of starting to feel like a film student when they're all like, I need to watch 2 films by Friday. And I mean, like, I did this to myself, so I don't have anyone to blame. Hello, and welcome back to another monthly movie roundup for the month of April. Wow, I watched a lot of good movies in April. I mean, there were a couple bad ones, but bad movies are fun too sometimes. As usual, there will be no spoilers, and if you want to know what I'm watching before I make one of these videos, or in the event that I don't make one of these videos, because I don't want to make them every single month, but you can follow me on my Letterboxd username or in the description. So without further ado, here's all the movies I watched in April. This was so not scary, but not even in a fun way. It was just in a stupid way. The only thing that I enjoyed that I can think of was that graffiti scene, but even that felt kind of dumb. I guess since I'm still new to the horror genre, it was a pretty okay watch because it literally wasn't scary at all, but I feel like the message it was trying to convey was very forced, and it seemed like they were handing it to us like we were dumb. I mean, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid, so. So remember when I said I'm new to horror? Yeah, this definitely disturbed me. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. This is a great movie. Every actor's performance was phenomenal. I hated that boyfriend so much. The cinematography is beautiful and the scenery is very non-typical. I don't know if that's proper, whatever, non-typical for a horror movie. I actually sympathized with the cult, and I had a false sense of happiness at the end. I will just say I didn't think that I had a weak stomach, but after watching this, I felt sick for the rest of the day, so that's fun. This was fine, I guess. If you want a funny movie to just put on in the background while you do things, then sure. Pretty typical 24-year-olds playing teenagers, but I mean what are you gonna do? All I can say is that I am so glad that they did not make her end up with the nice guy best friend in the end. No, but for real, Molly Ringwald kills it literally every time. We already knew that. I think this is probably my second favorite John Hughes movie now. So I don't know why it took me so long to watch. I have very little nostalgia attached to the Wimpy Kid series, and this is so obviously meant for 10-year-old boys, but I still had a fun time watching it. And I literally had flashbacks of middle school where people were going around screaming about the cheese touch. Oh, also I love Roderick, that's all. Okay, I get it. I get why people like this movie. I get why people love this movie. I really, really get it. Because I love this movie. I don't need to tell you why. You probably already love it too. And if you don't love it, then I don't know. It's rare to find a movie that depicts mental illness in a way that doesn't feel exploitative or demonizing, even in this day and age. And while I can't confirm the way that they depicted schizophrenia was accurate, I will say that the internal struggle of trying to feel normal in a room where it feels like everyone is staring, the fear of being a burden to your family, even being afraid of making friends all because of your mental illness, felt very authentic, and I'm honestly very grateful for it. I'll probably watch this again at some point. Wes Anderson's first film before his films became distinctly Wes Anderson-y. Even though it lacked that immense amount of twee that we're used to from Anderson by now, it still feels like his writing and his overall storytelling, and that's not something that's changed. I think the way the friends interact is funny and felt really real. I mean, I really felt like there was a long history between them. I mean, it probably helped that the actors were brothers in real life, but not playing brothers, so, I'll give the credit to the writing too. So I decided I'd only make one of these monthly movie roundup videos if there were enough movies that I was excited to talk about, and this movie was the one that made me think, okay, I have to talk about this. Hottie Boom Baladi is an indie film from 2008, written and starring some guy named Seth. What makes this movie so good is just the circumstances are so stupid yet believable. The way the characters are written are so funny, the dialogue is so funny, the physical comedy is so funny. I'm serious, I haven't laughed loud this much while watching a movie in such a long time. Yeah, there are a couple of R slurs in there, but for the most part this feels kind of timeless. I've heard this movie be compared to Napoleon Dynamite, and it kind of is, but I'd say it might even be better in some ways. And that's saying a lot because I grew up watching Napoleon Dynamite, but I can say that I wish I was watching Hottie Boom Baladi too, because this movie is my exact humor as a kid and still kind of is my humor now, honestly. If you're gonna watch any movie that I talk about in this video, make it this one, I'm begging you. Also, I will now only ever refer to someone attractive as a hottie boom bulati, so. Oh my god, this movie was so good. It was funny, it was clever, it was sad, it was heartwarming, it had anything and everything you could want in a movie. Not to mention the animation is stunning, still holds up to this day. 1999, let's go kids. Well, I mean, the director is the same guy who directed Ratatouille, aka the best Disney movie ever, so we'd expect nothing less than a roller coaster of emotions. This honestly might even be in my top 10 movies now. This reminded me as to why I loved Studio Ghibli so much. I love how a simple story of middle school crushes and different hobbies can be turned into such a compelling story. I don't have to tell you that the animation is beautiful because, I mean, obviously it is. I have no complaints. Another Ghibli film checked off my list. This was so chaotic. I love it. No, but for real, this was such a trip, but in the best way possible. There were more Dutch angles than a shitty slasher, and the hard cuts to seemingly unrelated scenes kept me super interested. This is kind of just another classic Bonnie and Clyde type crime committing couple, but its commentary on the media and consumers' fascination with murderers is very interesting and quite smart, honestly. The part at the beginning when we were shown Mallory's abusive father set to the tone of an old sitcom, laugh tracks and all, was pretty disturbing and unsettling because that's exactly how abuse is portrayed most of the time. I think the moral of the story is just like stop glamorizing serial killers, ya weirdos. Okay, I know I'm about to sound like a bitter old Barbie fan, but they really don't make Barbie movies like they used to. I mean, don't get me wrong, this was still pretty fun to watch and the obligatory song and dance number was pretty catchy, but it really kind of felt like they were just making up plot points as they went along. In the older Barbie films, you can tell that they added in jokes and parts that could appeal to the parents and older kids watching, but this one felt way too much like a kid's movie, which it is a kid's movie, so they did their job, so I guess I can't really complain. I'm not the demographic, I shouldn't complain, whatever. All I can say is that I'm glad this movie was only an hour long. Alright, so on to the rewatches. It ain't Easter without Mulan. Don't ask. But yeah, this is the only Mulan Disney has ever made and no one can tell me otherwise, so. All I can say is wow, Natalie Portman was incredible in this, especially considering it was her first ever movie. Wow. I will say though that knowing how grossly sexualized she became as a 12-year-old after this movie came out kind of lessens my fondness for it, but Matilda is and always will be the it girl. This is comedy gold. Is the animation terrible? Yes. But is it entertaining? Also yes. Top 5 best Barbie movies ever, honestly. Okay, y'all. This is it. This is my most favorite movie of all time. I love this movie. No, I love this movie. No. I don't think you understand. I love this movie. I could literally talk for hours as to why I love this movie so much, but I won't. You probably had to watch it in high school English class at some point, but if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Baz Luhrmann's directing style certainly isn't for everyone, but it's really effective at keeping me engaged the entire time, which is a massive feat, especially for Shakespeare. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Shakespeare, I guess, but it can feel a little dense sometimes. Anyway, everything about this movie is literal perfection. The cinematography, the art direction, the creative liberties, the soundtrack. Oh my god, I cry every time that song is playing when they're looking through the fish tank. Oh, wow, just wow. And I don't even need to mention how good the actors were, Claire Danes, the perfect Juliet, and Leo, such a heartthrob, such a hottie boom bulati, if you will. The perfect Romeo. I don't know, every time I watch this movie, I love it more and more, which, is nice. But those are all the movies I watched in April. I hope you found a new recommendation or something. Please don't hate me for my movie choices. I don't know, people can be mean sometimes. Okay, goodbye.